As I walk beside this quiet creek, I am reminded that water does not struggle to be water. It simply flows according to its nature. And in many ways, love is like this. Yet for much of my life, I believed love was something I had to seek for, to secure, or be given, especially when I felt lonely, unsettled, or inwardly aching. And only through experience, which included disappointment and emotional fatigue, did I begin to see a subtle truth emerging. What I was often calling love was actually a search for relief, like a hope that another person's nervous system might calm the restlessness within my own. And there is no shame in that discovery, because it is profoundly human, but it does carry a hidden cost, because when we enter relationship hoping to be regulated by another, we unknowingly place upon them a responsibility that they cannot sustainably carry. Neuroscience teaches us that when we are dysregulated, anxious, overwhelmed, or depleted, our perception narrows, we react more quickly, we listen less fully, and even small relational moments can feel threatening or even painful. While in contrast, when we are regulated, the body feels safe enough for curiosity, patience, empathy, and warmth to arise naturally. And this means that love is less something we perform and more something that appears. And this realization became a turning point for me, because I began to understand that learning self-regulation is not emotional isolation, nor is it independence from others, but it is in fact a preparation for genuine connection. When I was sitting by this tree, I reflected on how self-regulation requires honesty about limits. Because without boundaries, we may give generously for a time, yet eventually discover exhaustion or resentment or even withdrawal. And when boundaries are absent, even kindness can become unsustainable. But when boundaries are clear, love becomes durable, spacious, and trustworthy. And this is why the Ambe approach has become such a practical compass in my life. Anchoring invites me to return to my body and breath so that I am not acting from agitation. And mirroring allows me to truly hear another person without immediately inserting my own interpretation or defense. Boundaries help me recognize and communicate what maintains my inner steadiness rather than waiting until depletion forces a reaction. An exit reminds me that stepping away temporarily to regulate is not abandonment, but my own responsibility. It is a form of care that protects both people from unnecessary harm. While I was crossing this small bridge, I began to think about how maturation of the soul is less about finding the perfect partner and more about becoming a stable presence, one that is capable of meeting another without hidden agenda. Because when this kind of stability grows, something beautiful begins to happen. Connection begins to feel lighter, and conversations become less effortful. Even silence becomes comfortable, and even shared breathing across distance can feel deeply connecting because neither person is trying to fix or complete the other. They are simply meeting in presence. And this is where NRI Principle Day 10 begins to reveal itself not as an ideal, but as a lived experience. Love is the natural state of being. Not because relationships are always easy, but because when we are no longer fighting ourselves, or guarding ourselves, or outsourcing our regulation, what remains is warmth and goodwill and openness. These qualities were never absent. They were merely obscured by turbulence. And so the invitation I gently offer today is not to wait until you are perfectly regulated before loving someone, because perfection is neither possible nor required, but rather to cultivate the willingness to meet your own nervous system with patience, so that when you do extend your love towards another, you do so from overflow rather than deficit, from steadiness rather than urgency, from presence rather than expectation. And perhaps as you continue walking your own path, you may discover, as I am discovering, that love does not need to be manufactured, pursued, or negotiated into existence, because like this flowing creek, love quietly appears wherever resistance softens and being is allowed to rest in its natural coherence. Love is the natural state of being. And offering our own genuine presence is the truest gift we can give.